Welcome. We are going to talk about the Arsenal versus PSG game. And the reason I got not a little bit, but a bit too late is because the website that everyone uses, FBref for advanced football data, had some issues at the beginning of the year and they have not yet sorted it out. So the data that I was waiting for, actually, which I could have added to this video, I did not get. So, anyways, my analysis has always been way more about what I see and what I observe and how I interpret it, and then how do I go on to explain it. And the attention to detail is something that always matters to me very, very much. So, let's get into the analysis. I'm not going to do this basic thing where I'll explain you what Arsenal shape was, what PSG shape was in possession and out of position, because everyone knows that. Okay, so that's like generic stuff which I don't want to get into, because here I don't do generic stuff, I do specific. We go into the depth of things that have nuances, have gray areas, where a lot of things are possible and there is nothing white or black, and that's where true analysis actually happens. So I'll start by actually making a point that I wanted to address at the beginning. uh, I saw this narrative that PSG dominated the game. Now, I'll say this before this analysis, and if you know me, then you would know that I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I am a Mikel Arteta fan, and I'm also a huge Luis Enrique fan. So this match for me was a bit confusing because I was like, whom to support? But deep down somewhere, I wanted Arteta to do well because Luis Enrique had already won it last year. So I really wanted Arteta to get that trophy, do the double, which is something even Wenger could never do, Klopp could never do, Mourinho also did only with Porto and Inter. So that was somewhere deep in my heart. I wanted Arteta to win, although it did not happen. But PSG dominated the game. And why? Because if you now look at the screen in front, you will see this PSG having huge amounts of position and PSG having a much greater XG. And if you go in the attack momentum graph, which I'll show you, uh, look at my mouse pointer, this attack momentum graph. And again, you will see this huge green, which is PSG, and the little purple lines, which is Arsenal's momentum of attack. Now, of course, that means that Arsenal did not attack as much as PSG, which was evident throughout the game. Why am I saying that PSG did not dominate? Now, whenever we talk about knockouts are all about game management. One game, it's one match. You have to get a lot of things right, and you need to manage the game in a way that the game is going in the direction where you want it to go. Now, if Arsenal made it a completely end-to-end game, a basketball game, free flowing football, I think they would have lost easily, because that's where PSG play their best football, and that's where we saw them in the last final. Even last year against Arsenal in the semi final, we saw that Arsenal allowed them to play the free flowing football because Arsenal were also committing a bit too much. And this time we saw that Arsenal actually very smartly took the game in the direction which benefits them. We see this multiple times with very smart tactical coaches like Jose Mourinho, what he did with Inter Milan against Barcelona 10, 15 years ago, what Atletico Madrid does a lot of times under Diego Simeone. Klopp also did it sometimes, not in the same way, but Leicester City under Claudio Ranieri. But what do we see with these teams is that these smart managers have no ego. So they know that the game needs to be played in a certain way and the game needs to happen in a certain way, and it has to go in a certain direction which benefits their style of play, which benefits the strengths that they have, and which minimizes the strengths of the opponent. Now, if Arsenal made this a free flowing end to end football match, I think they would have lost 4-2, maybe 4-1, maybe 3-2, and they wouldn't have come even 10% close to what we saw in the final. Now, this is where I want everyone to understand that just because a team has a lot of possession, 70%, 65%, and the opponent has the remainder, and you think the team with possession dominated the game, I'm not saying that's a very wrong way to look at it, but that's a very immature and objective way to look at it. If I know that my team is excellent at keeping low blocks, excellent at keeping mid to low blocks, excellent at hitting the opponent on the break, then my opponent is someone who is brilliant at playing out from the back, who is brilliant at beating high press, who has got a lot of pace to get in behind you. If this is the condition that I am put in, and if I choose to play the way Arteta did, I think he made the right decisions in terms of taking the game in the direction that he did. And Arsenal actually got a lot of benefit from it. Although now we will move on to the things that I think Arteta got wrong, and I think, and the reasons that I think why Arsenal probably lost this game. Now, again, I could be wrong, so let me know your thoughts all the time. And during the match, I was making all these notes, so you can see the notes exactly, the diagrams below of rotation, the notes, then at the back also. Then I had something specific for the second half as well. But again, not gonna go into everything because look, generic stuff, you will get it anywhere. We are about the specifics of game management, specifics of tactics, and micro analysis, not macro. We don't do macro and shallow stuff here. We go deep and we look at the micro analysis side of it. So I think the one thing that Arteta actually majorly got wrong is, I think, in the process of playing the low block that he did, and in doing it so well that they actually started the game well. They got the chance, they got the goal. Arsenal's position was great. And when they scored, I remember thinking, if now the plan is let's keep a low block forever, matlab hilna hi nahi hai. Let's just now park the bus in a way that Inter Milan did against Barcelona. But the reason that game is such an anomaly because it cannot be done again and again and again, despite how good Arsenal are at keeping low blocks. Now, if you see, there were parts of the game and there were sequences and spells in the game where I'll show you the diagram I made. This was pretty much the condition. So the substitutes that actually made an impact for Arsenal are here, so they are not yet in the game. And this was pretty much the shape by Arsenal. At times, Rice was actually dropping way deeper into the back four and making it a back five. At times here, he was helping Mosquera. Skelly was helping in Hincapie, and I think the decision to put in Skelly was also a very good one. Although, if you look at this diagram, the most concerning, surprising, worrying aspect of this is that Havertz and Odegaard's positioning cannot be this deep, but it was multiple times in the game. And by the way, I'll just clear it. This is not the average position of Arsenal. That diagram is there in the next tab, but this is not the average position. This is what was happening a lot of the times when PSG were attacking and getting their waves after wave of attack in both halves. So PSG were having the ball with Vitinha at times, with Marquinhos at times, with Pacho at times, with Mendes at times, anyone. And I remember multiple times Havertz and Odegaard being in the zone 14. They were defending zone 14 practically. So your front two and your number 9, who is Havertz, who I know is not a traditional 9, but who is playing 9 on that day, he's practically defending zone 14. How do you justify that? Because that meant that there were two issues. One is your team is too deep. So when your team is too deep and you give Vitinha or Neves or Ruiz or anyone the chance to shoot from this kind of a range, which I know is, any team would take that, a shot from here. But how many? Because deflections would end up in corners and it would make more chaos. And a random deflection could take the ball anywhere. If Raya is moving to the right and a deflection takes the ball to the left, it can say change the picture too quickly. But My bigger issue with this was when Arsenal, because they're brilliant at keeping those low blocks, when PSG actually played these passes, then got it here and then got it here. And by the way, the front three of PSG were moving. So Due actually was not on the right wing all the time. I remember him and Kvaratskhelia together here, Dembele moving here, Due coming here, Dembele going out wide. So it was changing all the time. Although most of the time Dembele was central, Due was in the half space, and Hakimi was holding the width here. So when they had the ball here and you see move, when PSG actually lost the ball, so a pass here and Gabriel wins it back, Hinkapie wins it back, Saliba wins it back. At times it goes to Raya, but mostly these guys won it back. When they won it back, there was no room for build up because PSG predominantly are always a high pressing team, so they are gonna press. So what was happening? Gabriel and Saliba were hitting it long. The moment they were hitting it long, it's humanly impossible for anyone, including Kai Havertz, to make this run and then to put the centre backs under pressure and then to cause some issues. So basically, every time Arsenal cleared the ball, PSG won the ball back at the halfway line, which means it was a free receive and free turn for Marquinhos or Paco. Let's go and attack. So basically, Arsenal, who are so confident in the low block, as we all know, but that does not mean that you just allow opponent a free ride even beyond the halfway line. So at least you stay on the halfway line. No, they were like, no, 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 we are going to allow you even in, even more inside. So come in. I'm not against it. I'm not against low block. I'm a massive Mourinho fan. So I love this kind of football where you actually focus on your strength, as I explained in the beginning of the video. But in this position, Marquinhos was able to get the ball until here, and then the ball was here. The ball was with Neves, and again, zone 14 was being defended by Havertz and Odegaard, which meant everyone was behind the ball. And when Arsenal did win the ball back, it was a clearance that was easily received by anyone in the backline of PSG without any sort of pressure on the ball, and they came again. And I think even though they only conceded one, but I think this is where Arteta could have done better in terms of asking his team to push up a little. Maybe asking Havertz that, bro, you don't drop, you stay a little up, because when we do play that ball, we need an outlet. We need someone to disturb Marquinhos and not allow Marquinhos or Paco to just easily receive it, force a foul there or just go down, win a card, slow the game down. Game management, as I said. Knockout games, finals, semi-finals are all about managing the game, doing what is right in that moment. If there's a 5 minute spell where your team is under so much pressure, you need to win a foul. One of your players need to go down, and you need to slow the game down. You need to manage the game in the right way, in the right moments. It's not just about formation or tactics and all the fancy stuff we talk about. It's also about the things that we so many times neglect. In this position, I think Arteta had to do a lot better, because no outlet meant every time they hit the ball, PSG just came again and again and again, which meant that it basically became an attack versus defense practice session where it was inevitable that when you allow a team to come again and again and again and again, something will go wrong. And that's exactly what happened. If you see in the halftime video that I did on my Instagram, it was a very short 1.5 minute video, I think. I mentioned Arsenal, Havertz, and Odegaard dropping 2D, practically defending zone 14, which means when they hit the ball, there is no outlet, which means if PSG and a problem which I talked about in that video and I've also written here in the first half issues was that PSG's ball movement was too slow. So when you are playing against a low block, your ball movements needs to be quick, so that the movement of the opponent also is quicker. So if you're moving the ball from right to left and then left to right, because there is no space vertically or gaps vertically, the opponent also has to move from right to left. Now, if you do that slightly smartly and more importantly quickly, then the opponent has to move quickly. And that's where mistakes happen. And if you see in the second half, when Arsenal won that penalty, it was because of dynamic, quick ball movement and players' movement. Now, there's this big disagreement. Some people think that If there is no movement, how can the ball move? But I think there's always options out wide. So if you just keep moving the ball quicker, your players get more opportunity to move. So I think that's where PSG did well in the second half, and Arsenal kept allowing them. And Declan Rice, as he was again and again joining the back four, making it a back five, adding defensive bodies, he actually made, I think, the foul which ended up being the penalty, and it was quick ball movement by PSG. And again, Arsenal were just allowing them. So not against a low block. I'm not calling it a negative or a defensive mindset. I never do that. But I think in that, what Arteta did, which was excellent with his team, he could have managed the game better, could have created maybe more chances, had a better XG, and maybe could have nullified PSG's attacking threat slightly before they actually reached the zone 14 and final third of their own attack. The brilliant thing that Arteta did were the substitutes. So Trossard was great, but he took him out. Martinelli, smart change. Saka out. Madueke, again, legs. The one change I did not completely understand, I was a bit, I would say, not shocked, but surprised, was when he took out Odegaard for Gyökeres. Now, I think Odegaard is what you call a manager on the pitch, a coach on the pitch. He manages situations, he wins the right fouls, he takes the pressure off, he plays the right passes, he calms everyone around him when he receives the ball. I don't think a lot of things that I mentioned you can say for Gyökeres as well. I think the idea was to get an outlet, which I spoke about, which was not bad. So I don't think it was a bad or a wrong decision, although it was a bit surprising because you need the calm uh, presence of Odegaard on the pitch in a conditions like that. Madueke excellent, Martinelli excellent. Although again, outlets, proper outlets. Now, if you go on my Twitter and check my tweets, when this substitution was made, when both Martinelli and Madueke came on, I tweeted excellent substitutions, proper outlets, exactly what Arsenal need, but 10 minutes too late. I think Arteta should have made these changes at least 10 minutes earlier than he did. Penalties are always about luck. They can always go either side. As Luis Enrique brilliantly said after the game, anyone could have won the game. And both teams, I think he said both teams deserve to win. So that's very true because Arsenal played the way they should have, played the way that benefited them, and played the way that nullified PSG. We saw PSG were getting frustrated. PSG was struggling to progress the ball. And the issue that I wrote here, as I mentioned, was PSG's ball movement. Nothing else. They were brilliant. The ball movement was a bit too slow. They improved it in the second half. The XG went up, the intensity went up, and they did pretty well. Overall, I would like to say that it was a great game. And I always love to watch tactical battles where it's not just basketball game, attack, then attack, then attack, then attack. It's 3-3, it's a 3-2. Understand some people love it. I love tactical games. 1-0, 1-all, 2-1, 2-0, 0-0, where both teams know what is the right thing to do for them. And they try to take the game in that direction, where they also make it a psychological battle. It's not just a footballing, tactical, physical battle anymore. It's a psychological battle, which Arsenal did, and PSG responded to it brilliantly. It feels more like a chess game where you are psychologically not bullying, but challenging your opponent in a way that if he doesn't respond well, you get the game in your hand. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what did I miss in the game, but micro things that not everyone can pick out, and things that if you pick them out, everyone says what, because they're not watching with that amount of attention to detail. So let's not just talk about team shapes and formations. And yeah, I mean, we all know that, we can all get it, we can all see it. Let's go into the micro details of game management, psychological battles, substitutions, the timing of it, not just the right ones but the right time as well. Thank you for watching. I'm not sure how long this video is, but I think it must have gone easily above 20 minutes. So if you stick until the very end, thank you. And if you don't, then let me know why you did not. See you soon. We'll maybe cover the World Cup as much as we can.